Welcome back, Deadites and Ghost Beaters, and if you're new to the channel, I am Oldhead Gaming, and I feel like we're starting to get to the point now that it's June 26th and we haven't really heard anything from Saber about any future content. Are we being gaslit at this point? Like, I feel like this is the question that needs to be asked. Is Saber gaslighting its own community into thinking that maybe this game isn't dying, or may already be dead? And I'm very sad to make this video. Like, this is not what I want to be talking about when it comes to Evil Dead. I want to be talking about new tier lists and new updates and new drops and new skins and new builds and new characters and new maps. And I can't talk about any of that because they're not doing any of it. And we all saw the video. If you haven't, it's right here. It basically dove deeply into all the quotes from Tim Willits, who's the creative director of Evil Dead the game, how basically they weren't working on anything. They had no interest in making maps, and they were just kind of in a sit back and see kind of component. And then normally we had already figured out, should have probably heard something by June 25th if we're getting geared up for that July window for a normal drop. And we didn't hear anything. And if we don't hear anything by July 13th, we might have some legitimate concerns that this game has flatlined. Now, when the game was coming out, they did a terrible job promoting it until the very last 2 weeks before it came out, and then you saw them everywhere. They were really going hard in the horror community to publicize why Evil Dead the game was going to be this awesome, long-lasting live service game, and how they were going to bring new stuff to it through a season pass for Season 1, which they clearly called the Season 1 Season Pass. And we did get some Season 2, like we've gotten 2 drops, but nothing since then. And now we're at this point where we're not hearing anything whatsoever. The only thing we had was they basically did a double XP weekend when the PTB was live for Dead by Daylight. And, of course, the Texas Chainsaw Tech Test was going on that weekend. But we haven't had one since. And now we got a tweet the other day, which is just absolutely asinine, of basically do photo mode competition for bragging rights in their barely anyone there Discord. I don't know what's going on with this. I've never seen a game just turn on its player base like this. It's really, really tough to even find a way to make content about the game. And I feel like a lot of us who have really dedicated this last year, people like myself, like Sergeant Moose, like Pixels, like MIDI, like a lot of us who have really worked hard, Slash and Cast, to bring content about Evil Dead the game and keep people interested in it, have nothing else to talk about and are looking for things elsewhere. And that's the problem. Like, I know we are all at a point where we're either looking at Texas Chainsaw, we're looking at other games. I'll begin coverage of AEW Fight Forever starting this Wednesday at 9 a.m. Like, we have other games we have to talk about because the one we really want to talk about has ghosted us. Well, that's where we're at. We're getting gaslit by Saber that this game isn't dead. And it's a sad, sad state. And they're giving just enough hope that something is coming, that we will finally get this Evil Dead Rise DLC we've all been begging for. Or we might finally get a map. But I think we're at the point now where you have to ask yourself, if you choose to play the game, it's not for any kind of benefit to your account. It's just because you really like the game. And I can't blame you for that. If you enjoy playing Evil Dead because it is fun, you should absolutely play it. But when it comes to one of the things I always talk about as a content creator, and that is respecting players' time, the game has lost its way completely. We still have the prestige system, so if you haven't P5'd every one of your characters, I mean, you can obviously grind for those points. But I don't honestly think we're going to see anything else. I hope I'm wrong. I would love for tomorrow a tweet to come out that says, coming up to this day. But I'm not hearing anything rumbling underneath the surface. I'm not thinking any other content creators is hearing anything either. I think we're all kind of in this. And that's a bad place to be. Like, when no one's hearing things coming out of camps, it's usually because there's nothing coming out of the camp. And Saber is not coming out overtly and saying, we've murdered this game, and that, ha ha ha, the Game of the Year edition was the finale. But we're not getting anything otherwise, too. No skins to buy, no maps to play on, no new content chapter being announced. Like, it's a barren wasteland, much like the future Ash went to in the end of Army of Darkness in the British version, or the original version, depending how you want to look at it. But we are now at this point where we have to ask ourselves, should we ever boot up Evil Dead the game again? And I am not yet ready to get off the ship completely. But, like, I don't know. I will probably not do another video about Evil Dead the game unless they actually say something, or the 13th of July hits and we miss that kind of second window where we would expect to hear a content drop was coming, whichever comes first. I just can't donate time to a game that doesn't seem to have its own publisher care about it. And it's really pisses me off to have to make this video. Like, this is a game that should be rolling like clockwork, and yet here we are talking about the game just almost being abandoned by Saber for absolutely no reason. Yes, it is a niche horror genre, the Army of Darkness Evil Dead universe, but it is the same thing really as Texas Chainsaw, and you can see a clear difference between how Gunn and Wes is talking all the time about Texas Chainsaw, the things they're doing to promote the upcoming August 18th launch of Texas Chainsaw, versus how Saber has pretty much handled Evil Dead the game since launch. And now we've gotten to the point where I can't even find anything to actually talk about, and it makes me sad. I really have no other way to put it. Like, I'm not doing this video as a way to say how much I hate Saber or anything like that, but I'll be honest with you, I can't trust Saber ever again to buy another game from them. Like, the way they handled Evil Dead the game is an absolute travesty. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think we're going to hear anything else from them, or is it just basically just this gaslight going to continue and people will play it hoping that someday there will be another content drop? Or do you think that I'm being a bit premature in my approach to how I'm looking at the game right now, and I'm totally missing the mark? I want to hear your thoughts, good, bad, the you got real ugly of it. I want to hear it all. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching, and later, mates.